On the Friday, June 27th episode of The Young and the Restless, Lily kissed Damian in front of Kane. Sharon asked Phyllis a tough question, and Nick confronted Kane. By the pool, Damian asked Lily if she was okay. He offered to cheer her up with another game of Go Fish. He asked Lily if she had any tens. Lily noted they had no cards. Damian countered that they were just practicing. Lily laughed as Damian continued to ask her if she had any particular cards. Then Kane appeared. He wondered if Lily had changed her mind about leaving. Lily mused that it didn't matter, as she couldn't leave. Kane commented on the irony that he'd hire a man who was Nate's half-brother and was also Lily's friend. Lily asked what made Kane think that she and Damian were just friends. Kane said he kept a distance at Lily's request. She commented that he wasn't doing that right now. Damian took Lily's side. Kane asked for 5 minutes of Lily's time. Damian looked at Lily to make sure she was okay with it. Lily conceded to the meeting. Damian said he'd be in the pool if she needed him. "Your 5 minutes starts now. Don't make me regret this," Lily firmly stated. Kane said he knew he had pushed Lily away, but he hoped to change the path she was on. Lily chuckled when she said Kane said the path was one without her. She told her ex that he was delusional. Kane said his intentions were pure. Lily said she hadn't forgotten what he'd done to her family. Kane urged Lily not to trust Damian. Lily pointed out that Kane was lying to everyone by using a fake name. Kane knew that Damian was going to spy on him. He added that he always wanted to come home. "To me?" Lily marveled. Lily told Kane she didn't know who he was, and she suspected that he didn't either. Kane promised to always be Lily's soft space to fall. Lily told Kane they were no longer those kids. Kane said he never stopped loving her. "I have stopped loving you," Lily told Kane. Then Damian repeated and said Kane's 5 minutes were up. Lily grabbed Damian and kissed him. Kane walked away. A shirtless Damian said Lily's kiss was nice, but he suspected it was for Kane's benefit. Lily confessed she wasn't planning on kissing Damian. He volunteered to send Kane the message that Lily was not interested in her ex anymore. Damian said that kissing Lily was something he wanted to do since he laid eyes on her. Lily said that the kiss was partially for Kane's benefit, but she added that had also wanted to kiss him too. In the train cabin, Nick found it odd that it rained enough to delay their exit. Nikki agreed that they only had Kane's word about the weather. Victor said Kane was buying time and was looking for weaknesses. Nikki said they were not going to sell Chancellor. Victor mused that Jack and Diane could play a role in what happens next. Then, he suggested that Diane was more treacherous than Jack. Nikki said she wouldn't disagree with that. Phyllis entered and announced they were all stuck with each other. Nick chided his mother for being snarky with Phyllis. Sharon told Phyllis her timing wasn't great. Nikki noted that this may be a vacation for Phyllis, but the Newmans couldn't wait to go. Victor theorized that Kane wouldn't hire Billy. Nick pointed out that Billy was still Jill's son. Victor quipped that that was Jill's problem. He added that Lily rejected an offer from him to work at Chancellor Industries. Nikki pointed out that Kane was a professional con man. He could charm Lily into doing his bidding. Phyllis commented on the food and view. Nikki said she was concerned about what else was on Kane's itinerary. Phyllis called Nikki an enemy of fun. Nick surmised that Phyllis had gotten a one-on-one with Kane. "What are you up to?" Nikki asked Phyllis. "Why would your future have anything to do with Kane?" Phyllis reminded the Newmans that she had walked away from Billy's company. She said she had to find something, as Victor wasn't going to hire her. "Kane seems to think that I'm an exciting addition to his empire," Phyllis bragged. Nick wondered where Phyllis would end up if Kane was going to dump all his companies. Phyllis kept up her charade that Kane wanted her. "You never learn, do you?" Victor said to Phyllis. The redhead suggested that Kane was a formidable foe and had risen to a new level, and the Newmans were intimidated. "For your information, he hasn't risen to a damn thing," Victor countered. "I disagree," Phyllis said. She believed that Kane would be a powerful force, and Phyllis planned to be right by his side. Nick decided it was a good idea for him to talk to Kane. He wondered if Phyllis and Sharon could be left alone, as Victor and Nikki had already left. Phyllis said they were just like Thelma and Louise from the movie of the same name. Except for the ending, Sharon noted. Once alone, Sharon asked Phyllis if she thought it was a stupid idea for her to trust Kane. Sharon thought Kane's charade and his maze were odd. Phyllis said that they've known Kane for a long time. Sharon said if she were betting her whole future, she'd hope that Phyllis would advise her, as she was trying to do now. Phyllis confessed to Sharon that she feared being broke or never finding another job again. Sharon hoped Phyllis didn't bury herself in another hole. Phyllis realized Sharon was trying to protect her, but that she didn't need it. Sharon said that's the Phyllis she knew. Phyllis said that this trip to meet Kane was entirely different from her and Sharon's ordeal with Martin. Sharon pointed out that Kane put them all in a maze. Phyllis asked Sharon if she was having a panic attack. Phyllis said Kane was just a guy who wanted to reinvent himself, but she couldn't answer Sharon's question as to why he did that in secrecy. Sharon suggested that Phyllis could outsmart Kane, but not her. The two women walked away with their arms around each other. Kane ran into Victor. He apologized for the delay due to the storm. Victor said he didn't give a damn about Kane's hospitality or his tequila. He said they had nothing to discuss, and he wanted to get the hell out of there. Kane quipped that not even Aristotle Dumas can control the weather. He invited Victor to relax. Victor said he didn't come there to relax. Kane announced that he'd given up the idea of buying Chancellor back. Nikki appeared and asked Victor when they were going home. Next, Nick and Kane met in the maze of shrubbery. Nick wondered why Kane had to hide his identity while he amassed his huge fortune. Kane said he was sorry Nick felt the way he did. Nick said nothing about what Kane has done that has made anyone trust him. Kane said he wasn't surprised by Nick's reaction. He said he expected his guests to have questions, but he also wanted people to trust him. Nick warned Kane that if he went after either his mother or Chancellor Industries, it would not end well for him. Kane admired Nick for protecting his family. Meanwhile, Nikki found it odd that there was no way off the property. She asked what Victor thought Kane was up to. Victor theorized that all of this was for his benefit. He added that it might be a good idea to stick around. Then, Nikki, Victor, and Nick met with Lily by the pool. Lily insisted that Kane lied to her and their kids. Lily pointedly said she'd been lied to by a lot of people this past year. She noted it was hard to know who to trust. Victor said he didn't want Kane to disrupt their lives. In the train car, Kane asked Damian if he was wondering why he fired him. Damian shrugged, not caring as he had a new job. Kane advised Damian not to take a position with Lily. Damian said he didn't need to respond to his former boss anymore. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. Welcome to the Young and the Restless Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that, I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. After flying to Nice and boarding a private train, the Genoa city residents on the Young and the Restless arrived at the Aristotle Dumas estate. And while the final destination was supposed to be somewhere in the French Riviera, it seems as though they've stumbled upon a portal that keeps them floating between reality and an alt-reality every time they walk through the maze of shrubbery. For the longest, continuous period of time, since at least spring 2024, Phyllis is in a perpetually sunny mood, and she and Sharon are getting along so well, they walk with their arms around one another and seem to genuinely care. Nikki has been grumpy since she landed in France, with a permanent, inexplicable frown and constant snark. Maybe she's not completely out of line with that. I'd be grumpy too if I were married to TGVN and on the estate of a billionaire, and also on the one spot of land that apparently no one could hire a helicopter to get airlifted out of there. We're still not sure why Nikki even accepted the invitation if she was so against going. Coming in a close second is the usually motivational Sally, whose displeasure with her entire surroundings is starting to stand out. Maybe it's the isolated surroundings, but I don't remember Billy ever being with someone who constantly tells him what to do. Maybe living on a train car and eating outdoors is starting to get to people. But if lookalikes of Ricardo Montalban and Tattoo walked out with an announcement anytime soon, we'd be the least surprised. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full Y&R recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not. Seriously, do not. Forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Here is your weekly recap of The Young and the Restless for the episodes that aired June 23rd through 27th, 2095. This week on The Young and the Restless, Kane told Victor that Colin had died and that Colin had helped him build his fortune legitimately. Kane offered to trade the properties he'd acquired as Aristotle Dumas in exchange for control of Chancellor, but Victor flatly turned him down. Victor suggested that Kane go after Jabot. Lily recalled that she and Kane had become estranged after he'd wanted Charlie and Maddie to spend time with a dying Colin. Kane admitted that he wanted Lily back. A sleepless Lily bonded with Damian while playing cards. Damian admired a knife he found on the train. Lauren, Michael, Abby, and Chance joined the festivities in France. Phyllis proposed that Kane let her and Amanda lead Chancellor if he took over the company, but he informed her that he had a different endgame in mind. Kane hinted that there might be a place for Phyllis in his organization. Amanda blasted Phyllis for putting Amanda's job in jeopardy. As Kane's guests pondered whether to stay or leave, a storm washed out the road, leaving them stranded in Nice with no cell service. Kane confided to Chance that he suspected someone would try to kill him. Lily implied to Kane that she and Damian were more than just friends. After a confrontation with Kane, Lily kissed Damian. Sharon warned Phyllis not to trust Kane. Phyllis was touched that Sharon was trying to protect her like a friend. Sally frowned upon Audra getting flirtatious with Kyle, but Audra claimed it was just business. Kyle convinced Audra to nix their plan to involve Kane in their cosmetics battle, but she insisted that they use their time in France to work on their strategy. Adam learned that a holding company owned by Arabesque had been snapping up commercial and residential properties near Genoa City's business district. Victoria and Claire grappled with Cole's lack of response to treatment after being diagnosed with Legionnaire's disease. Victoria leaned on Nate for support. Holden helped Claire through a panic attack, and they grew closer over Vespers. Holden revealed that he'd just made a connection with a real estate company buying properties in town. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, July 1st, reveal that Sally Spectra will await an answer after spelling out her terms. Since Billy Abbott is clearly still obsessed with Chancellor, Sally has to protect her own career path. That's why Sally wants a written agreement that she'll gain control of Abbott Communications if Billy's Chancellor pursuit pays off. Since this is non-negotiable for Sally, Billy will presumably cave in and may even be impressed by how strategic she's being. Billy will ultimately make a vow to Sally, so he may agree to sign the contract she has in mind and give her the reassurance she needs. Over with Nick Newman, he'll go on a fishing expedition. Nick will turn to someone he views as an inside Kane Ashby source, since Damian Kane used to work for him. Of course, Damian may point out that he actually worked for Aristotle Dumas and knew nothing about Kane's other life. Kane successfully kept his 2 worlds separate, so Damian may not have much intel that can help Nick. Even so, Nick will spend some time getting acquainted with Damian and will hope for some clues about whatever Kane might still be hiding regarding his agenda. In Genoa City, Y&R spoilers say Holden Novak will jump at the chance to make some money and gain Kane's favor. It turns out Holden and Kane are secretly working together, so this ties in with Adam Newman's recent discovery about all the key properties getting snatched up around town. Holden will be eager to please Dumas, aka Kane, so he'll be fine with all the secrecy and shadiness. This definitely sounds like a situation where when Kane says jump, Holden will ask how high. Regardless, Kane will meet with Holden to discuss more details, so we'll bring you updates on any shocking news that might come to light. All those years ago, Joshua Morrow was bummed. He'd auditioned to the nth for the part of the bold and the beautiful stripper Dylan Shaw, and hadn't gotten it. But about a week later, he got a life-changing call. The Young and the Restless wanted to meet with him about the role of Nicholas Newman. They're like, "Hey, this one didn't work out, but we think you'd be great on Young and Restless." I was like, "Awesome, man," he tells Soaps.com. I assumed I'd go back to that whole long process, but literally, my read was with the show's late great co-creator, Bill Bell and Ed Scott, in their corner office with Heather Tom, who at the time was playing Nick's sister, Victoria. That was it. I read one time, and then Ed looks at me and goes, "You got the job, kid." I was like, "Seriously?" It was that fast. Though it seemed to Morrow that things had progressed at lightning speed, that wasn't quite the case behind the scenes. They'd been looking for someone to play the son of super couple Victor and Nikki for a while, and they were deep in their process, he says. Since the powers that be already knew from his bold and beautiful tryout how promising a prospect the newcomer was, I was very fortunate to be the guy who booked the gig. And on only his 4th audition ever even. Soon after Morrow made his Young and Restless debut on June 21st, 1994, he became not only a fan favorite, but a front-burner mainstay and a multiple Emmy nominee to boot. At this point, the leading man is as pivotal to the show as Nadia's theme, and shipper wars between supporters of Fick and Schick. And he loves doing the show as much as its viewers adore seeing him on it. From the very start, he was hooked. On his first day, he recalls that his inaugural scene was taped with Tom at 7:30 a.m. "I'd never done a job, not a single job in this world, and I just assumed it was like an all-day thing. I had 4 scenes with Heather, and I was done at 8 in the morning. I was like, all right, well, what do I do now? They're like, you go home. Back then, I was still living with my mom, so I drove home and walked in the house, and my mom's like, what are you doing here? Did you get fired? He continues. I'm like, no, I shot my show. I'm done for the day. Now, it's rarely like that, but it's a great schedule. I just remember that day being very uniquely exciting and nerve-wracking. I really wanted to do a good job, and 30 years later, here I am. Time has flown by, and I couldn't be more proud. It's an awesome achievement, and I'm just so thankful the show stuck with me for this long. And to think, if Morrow had wound up winning that bold and beautiful role instead, things would have worked out very differently. I joined Young and Restless shortly after Dylan Neal had started on Bold and Beautiful, so I saw him all the time. We became buddies, but I want to say he only lasted 2 or 3 years, and that could have been me. They could have been like, you know what? We're done. But getting Nick Newman, who's obviously a cornerstone of the show and a huge part of this main family, some longevity was sort of baked into it. Assuming that's what I wanted to do and was responsible and showed up on time and was efficient, I could stay as long as I wanted pretty much. Luckily, Morrow isn't one of those actors who sees daytime as a stepping stone to higher profile work. I couldn't want to be famous less, he says, and for all intents and purposes, I'm not. Nobody cares what I do in this town. There are far, far more people who are way more famous and interesting, so I can live my life and not have to worry about that. So this is an incredible way to provide for my family, to make a great living, and to be in a job that is very fulfilling, that lets me work with incredible people. It's really been just like the Powerball of jobs, as far as I'm concerned. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Kane Ashby may resort to drastic measures as he works to get Damian Kane out of the picture. How far will Kane go to get rid of the competition for Lily Winters' heart? Kane recently confronted Damian and urged him to rethink that Winters job offer. Damian balked since he no longer takes orders from Aristotle Dumas, but Kane advised him to stay away from Lily Winters altogether. It seemed like a veiled threat, so Damian had better watch his back. That's especially true since Amy Lewis felt a chill down her spine as she embraced Damian before this nice trip. What if Amy was sensing the trouble that Damian was about to land in? Damian could become a frame-up victim depending on how this storyline plays out. Since Damian found Kane's knife collection on the train, he picked up one of the weapons. That felt like a way for the show to get Damian's fingerprints on the knife that'll be used soon enough. Joshua Morrow hinted in a cameo video about a murder mystery extravaganza that's coming up on Y&R. However, it's possible Morrow really meant attempted murder mystery if the targeted character survives. Kane told Chance Chancellor that he feared someone would try to kill him, so maybe someone indeed will. What if Kane gets stabbed and points the finger at someone in the aftermath? Kane might end up seriously wounded, but a billionaire like him surely has a medical staff on standby, especially if he's expecting someone to go after him. There could be some scary moments for Kane, but he could pull through and ultimately accuse one partygoer of trying to wipe him off the map. Could there be a situation where Kane doesn't know for sure who did it and accuses Damian anyway? That's one option to consider, but Kane could also know who's to blame and cover for that person if it's complicated. Kane might decide he'd rather use this chance to take Damian down with some false accusations. Between Damian's prints on the murder weapon and Kane's potentially bogus story, Damian could end up arrested sooner or later. Genoa City's tangled webs of love and betrayal have taken a dark and terrifying turn, proving that old flames can ignite the most devastating fires. For months, Kane Ashby has been lost in a fantasy, convinced he could mend the past and win back his ex-wife, Lily. His obsession with reclaiming their shared history blinded him to his present reality with Amanda Sinclair. While he chased a ghost, he neglected the brilliant living woman in his life, believing she wouldn't notice his wandering heart. He was wrong. Amanda, a lawyer who prides herself on reading people, saw the truth long before Kane was willing to admit it. The lingering gazes toward Lily and the hollow excuses for his emotional distance cut deeper than any simple lie. But what happens when a woman scorned is not only heartbroken, but also a brilliant and ruthless lawyer? Heartbreak curdled into a cold, calculated rage. Finding a sympathetic ear in Devon Hamilton, Amanda didn't just decide to walk away. She resolved to burn Kane's world to the ground. She became the architect of his ruin, systematically leaking information and empowering his rivals to dismantle his professional life piece by piece. But as Amanda dug into Kane's past for leverage, she unearthed a secret far more sinister than a simple affair. Her investigation revealed a horrifying deception. The Kane she knew was an imposter, a puppet for an elusive and powerful mastermind named Aristotle Dumas. The personal betrayal that had consumed her was merely the opening act of a much larger, more dangerous play. The drama escalated to a bloody climax in Paris. The real Dumas orchestrated a lavish gala, a glittering trap designed to gather all of Genoa City's elite in one place. With the imposter Kane playing the confident host, the guests were lulled into a false sense of security. Amanda, having pieced together the conspiracy, tried to warn Devon, but they were already in too deep. As they moved through the opulent ballroom, they knew they were being watched. Suddenly, the lights went out, and the music stopped. A horrifying massacre unfolded as a silent poison swept through the room, followed by a deadly explosion that brought the grand chandelier crashing down. It was a grotesque ballet of death, a message from the real Dumas to announce his power. Amid the chaos, Devon and Amanda narrowly escaped through an underground tunnel, emerging into the Parisian night as sirens wailed in the distance. The man they knew as Kane was left behind, a pawn to be sacrificed, and framed as a mass murderer. The game has changed. Amanda's quest is no longer about a broken heart. It's about survival and justice. She is the sole witness to the truth, a survivor of a massacre, and the only one who can expose the monster behind the curtain. Her war with Kane is over, but her war with Dumas has just begun. She is no longer a woman scorned. She is his reckoning. In a dramatic turn of events unfolding in The Young and the Restless, Kane Ashby has found himself at the center of a scandal that threatens to upend both personal and corporate loyalties in Genoa City. His audacious decision to impersonate the elusive billionaire Aristotle Dumas has not only backfired, but exposed deep fractures within the Chancellor family, particularly with his formidable mother, Jill Abbott. For years, Jill has stood by Kane through countless ups and downs, fiercely protective of her children and the legacy they're meant to uphold. But this time, her patience is wearing thin. Kane's deceit doesn't just reflect a lapse in judgment, it crosses a moral line that Jill cannot ignore. With her sharp wit and unflinching sense of right and wrong, Jill is poised to return to the forefront of the Chancellor family's ongoing saga. not as a mother in mourning, but as a matriarch prepared to dismantle her son's manipulative ambitions before they take root. Jill's return is more than just a comeback. It's a reckoning. Her sense of loyalty has always been tied to truth, family, and the preservation of the Chancellor legacy, values that Kane has seemingly betrayed in his desperate bid for power and prestige. While Kane may have believed his charade could go unnoticed or unchallenged, he has underestimated his mother's intuition and moral compass. She's not just angry, she's wounded, and with that emotional injury comes a renewed determination to right what has gone wrong. Her confrontation with Kane promises to be searing and transformative, not only exposing his schemes, but also shifting the power dynamics within the family for good. At the heart of this unraveling deception lies a quieter but equally compelling conflict: Billy Abbott's long-standing struggle for recognition and acceptance. For years, Billy has watched from the sidelines as Kane seemingly secured Jill's approval, often feeling overshadowed or dismissed. Now, with Kane's duplicity in full view, Billy may finally find the validation he's been yearning for. Jill siding with him, whether openly or symbolically, could be the emotional breakthrough that redefines their relationship and gives Billy a new sense of purpose within the Chancellor Empire. His journey, riddled with impulsive choices and emotional turmoil, may now lead him toward a more grounded role, especially if he's called upon to help his mother confront and neutralize Kane's schemes. As the fallout from Kane's actions begins to ripple outward, alliances start to shift across Genoa City. Characters like Lily Winters, Victor Newman, and even Devin Hamilton are pulled into the drama as the question looms: who will stand with Jill to protect what remains of the Chancellor legacy? Kane's impersonation didn't just deceive the public, it betrayed the trust of those closest to him. And in Genoa City, betrayal always comes with consequences. The potential for new alliances between Jill and Lily, or even Jill and Victor, signals an impending realignment of power and influence. These aren't just tactical moves, they're deeply personal decisions rooted in history, loyalty, and the desire to protect what matters most. Jill's sharp tongue and commanding presence will serve as both a weapon and a moral compass in the episodes to come. Her ability to pierce through deception with a single line of dialogue is one of her signature traits, and viewers can expect emotionally charged confrontations that pull no punches. Whether she's confronting Kane directly or rallying others behind her cause, Jill's voice will be the one cutting through the noise, demanding accountability and clarity where there has been nothing but lies. At the core of this explosive arc is a deeper meditation on legacy, identity, and the lengths people will go to feel worthy of love, power, or recognition. Kane's impersonation wasn't just a financial scam, it was a cry for validation, an act of desperation rooted in feelings of inadequacy and fear. But in trying to rewrite his place in the world, he may have burned the very bridges he needed most. Meanwhile, Jill's fierce reaction underscores the idea that legacies aren't inherited, they're earned through truth, loyalty, and integrity. Ultimately, the storylines building around Jill, Kane, and the Chancellor Empire promise to deliver rich emotional payoffs, unexpected twists, and a renewed sense of purpose for characters both old and new. As Genoa City braces for the fallout, one thing is certain: Jill Abbott is back. And she's not here to play nice, and she's here to restore order, and no one, not even her son, will stand in her way. Young and the Restless, spoilers for June 30th, July 4th, 2025. See Cole Howard being on his deathbed, and Adam Newman going to extremes to stop a bad thing from happening to his family. We've also got scoop on Kane Ashby's secret weapon and Devin Hamilton's darkest fears. We've got your latest Y&R spoilers for the week of June 30th and some info on holiday preemptions for the CBS soap. So, we are wrapping up this week with Victor Newman, Nikki Newman, Billy Abbott, and the gang stuck in France because of the storm. But it looks like they're all going to be back home, including Kane, next week at some point. So Josh Morrow promised us a murder mystery. He didn't say if it was going to be in Genoa City or in France, but he said it was coming, so we'll see where it manifests. It's looking now like it's going to be back in their hometown. So as this week on Y&R wraps up, Victor and Nikki are irritated because they can't leave Kane's French estate. And Victor is worried that Kane may have a plan B for getting a hold of Chancellor Industries and that they are being kept there sequestered for a reason. All true. Nikki's worried about Lily Winters, still wanting revenge for her and Victor doing Lily dirty when they snatched Chancellor. But Sharon Newman talked them down off that and says no, Lily doesn't want anything to do with Kane. So that's off the table, not on the roster of concerns. It is painfully clear Lily despises Kane, and she even kissed Damian Kane at the end of the week to send a clear message to her ex that she's moved on. And actually what's really funny is that they are doing retcon stuff in the dialogue. If you listen on Friday's episode when Kane is talking to Lily about a reconciliation, and she's talking about how they are not the young kids they used to be. What? She was 18 and he was like 30 or 31 when they were getting together. So they are trying to dial it back because Billy Flynn is significantly younger than Daniel Goddard. You know, maybe when he lost that Australian accent, he lost years. But they're definitely trying to restructure history when I think it'd be better if they just didn't mention it instead of contradicting it. Anyway, Victor is also worried that Jack Abbott might team up with Kane against him, but Nikki thinks Diane Jenkins is more likely to do that. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers is talking out of her backside, telling the Newmans that she's in on this big opportunity with Kane and how they're going to be working together, blah blah. Typical Phyllis's nonsense, although I do think it's going to manifest. It's just that she's making it up right now. Kane also tells both Victor and Nick Newman that, he made the offer to buy Chancellor. Victor turned him down, so that's that. It's cool. No problem. They can relax. Not true. Meanwhile, next week, Kane is back in Genoa City and meeting with his real co-conspirator, who is not Phyllis. Kane did an end run, and he fired Damian, and then made a side deal with Holden Novak, and he's the one who's been buying up all the real estate around the Newman and Abbott business holdings for some nefarious reason. Kane wanted Holden doing it, so his name's not on it. And Kane is asking Holden next week if anybody suspects what's going on, and he says no, they're in the clear. That's not quite accurate, because Adam has figured out after doing some digging that somebody's buying up all that real estate. He tells Chelsea Lawson Newman he's got to go tell Victor. I don't know if he knows it's Holden, or he just suspects it's Damian, because at this point, he doesn't know it's Kane, because no phone service yada yada. So Adam's got to go tell Victor, because nobody in the Newman family is answering his calls, and that's because of that bad storm, and possibly because Kane is jamming cell signals. So next week, watch for Adam to basically hike his way through torn-up train tracks that were ravaged by the storm to get to Victor, and drop the bombshell about what Kane is doing back in their hometown. By then, though, despite Adam's valiant efforts, it may be too late. We'll see. Next week, before everybody leaves for home, we've also got Devin telling Amanda Sinclair that he's worried Kane is using this big party as a way to distract them from something. That's accurate. Devin is then pumping Kane's lady lawyer for info, but he gets nowhere because Amanda claps back on Devin and says, "Even if that was the truth, why would I ever tell you?" Amanda walked in on Devin banging Abby Newman in their living room, and Abby's husband Chance Chancellor was with her, so they both got an eyeful. So yeah, Devin's right to be worried because Amanda hates him and has Kane's ear, and doesn't like Abby, and Kane has given Amanda the means to clap back on him if she wants to. And if Lily keeps rejecting Kane, as I suspect she will, then Kane might take aim at Winters and Chancellor both for payback. I think Amanda would love to take a shot at Devin. Also, we had Claire Grace Newman suffering that panic attack, and Holden coming to her rescue this week, and they're doing some bonding. And I think that's foreshadowing who Claire is going to turn to if Kyle Abbott does a bad thing, and does that bad girl Audra Charles in France. So, next week we've got more on Claire. She and Victoria Newman head back to Chicago to see Cole, who is battling Legionnaire's disease. He's happy to see Victoria and Claire again, and was afraid they wouldn't make it back in time. What he means by that is he thinks he is dying. Cole is glad that they're there to say goodbye before he kicks the bucket. For the record, out of curiosity, I looked up to see how fatal Legionnaire's disease is. Not very. It's very treatable. It's got like a 90 to 95% survivability rate in somebody Cole's age who's basically healthy. And even among high-risk individuals that are older or have comorbidities, it's like 70 to 80% survivable. So if Claire's dad kicks the bucket, it would be against the odds. But it's Y&R. I'm not entirely sure they know how to spell Google up in the writer's room to check stuff out before they put it in scripts. The one thing I can think of is maybe Cole is our murder mystery victim, and he's been intentionally infected with some terribly virulent strain of something. I don't know why people would pick on Cole, though, because I'm also wondering if Chance is going to be the one to get a dirt nap because Connor Floyd quit Y&R. I don't know why they would recast the role of Chance Chancellor because they barely use him anymore in storylines. It seems like that would be kind of a waste of budgetary resources. And also, so Friday is July 4th, the Independence Day holiday. It's a complete and total toss-up of whether we get a new or a rerun episode of Young and the Restless. Last year, 2024, it was brand new on July 4th, but most years before that, because I was thinking it wasn't new, that it was typically a rerun, and I dived back in just to double-check, looking at recaps, and sure enough, it's almost always an encore. So, it's very important that you check your DVR, late Friday on Saturday, and if it is a rerun, delete it or your Monday episode might not record because they encode it with the episode number and the season number. And if you already have one sitting on your DVR with that info, it won't record the next one. It doesn't actually know the content that's aired. It only knows how it was listed in the program guide. Just if you wanted to understand the technicalities of why that happens, because you'll notice if you've got a preemption. A lot of times your next day doesn't record, and that's why. Be sure and check back tomorrow for your full roster of Young and of the Restless spoilers. I'll have dated daily spoilers for the entire week of June 30th through July 4th. And even if they tell us it's a new episode, that doesn't mean that it will be. So check your DVR. Tune in to find out about the drama happening in Genoa City. The Young and the Restless spoilers weekly update for June 30th. July 4th tease more Kane-centric drama when he finally makes his way to Genoa City. The action is hot, and the players are even hotter. You won't want to miss a single moment. Kane revealed that he'd built his fortune legitimately, with major help from his later father, Colin, who had sold land and invested in cryptocurrency before passing 6 months earlier. And he admitted he wanted a fresh start in Genoa City under his real identity. He offered Victor the Dumas business empire in exchange for the Chancellor title, but Victor refused, warning him to stay away and suggesting he target Jabot instead. Meanwhile, Sally and Billy debated exposing Kane's true identity to advance Abbott Communications. Billy wanted to stay and uncover more, while Sally pushed to leave. Audra probed Kyle about Kane, hinting at jealousy. Lily, Devin, and Damian confronted Kane, insisting he fully explain himself before she'd consider a future with him. Kane grew increasingly paranoid, convinced someone wanted to kill him after a series of suspicious incidents. He confided in Amanda about his fears and sought protection, while also trying to figure out who was behind the threats. Meanwhile, Amanda struggled with her loyalty between Kane and her family. At the same time, Lily pushed Kane to open up, but he kept secrets that strained their relationship. Elsewhere, Victor stayed watchful over the situation. Meanwhile, Phyllis and Amanda had a tense confrontation fueled by secrets and distrust. Phyllis attempted to undermine Amanda by pitching herself as a better fit for Kane's plans, suggesting she could offer more than just legal support. Kane rejected Phyllis's offer, reaffirming his reliance on Amanda. Phyllis persisted, proposing an executive role, but Kane remained uninterested. Later, Phyllis thanked Amanda, who confronted her, accusing Phyllis of selfishness and questioning her motives. Meanwhile, Adam uncovered that Kane, operating under the alias Aristotle Dumas, had been acquiring real estate near key players in Genoa City, including properties owned by the Newmans and Abbotts. Cole was diagnosed with Legionnaire's disease, a severe form of pneumonia, leaving his family deeply concerned. Claire, overwhelmed by the news, experienced a panic attack at Chancellor Park, but was calmed by Holden, who had been out for a run. They shared a drink at Society, where Claire opened up about her father's condition. Meanwhile, Nate and Victoria found solace in each other's company, discussing their shared history and current challenges. Opposite, Audra and Sally observed Kyle's workout by the pool. with Audra expressing interest in him despite her ongoing relationship with Nate. Kyle, however, remained focused on his concerns for Claire, while Audra continued to strategize her professional moves. Lily kissed Damian to provoke Kane when Kane attempted to reconcile, he expressing regret and urging her to reconsider, but Lily remained firm, stating she had stopped loving him. She then kissed Damian again, confirming her intentions. Meanwhile, Sharon cautioned Phyllis about aligning with Kane, suggesting he might be manipulating her. Phyllis defended her decision, but Sharon remained skeptical, advising caution. Elsewhere, tensions rose as Victor and Kane clashed over business matters, with Victor warning Kane to stay away from Chancellor. Nick, feeling increasingly distrustful of Kane's motives, confronted him, but Kane insisted he had no further interest in pursuing the company. Lily, still reeling from Kane's past actions, confided in the Newmans, expressing her uncertainty about the future. Kane, undeterred, warned Damian to stay away from Lily, but Damian dismissed his threats.